Hello, my name is Veronica Carter. I'm also known as Coach Carter. I'm one of the district math coaches here in Henrico County, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. We will compare and order fractions with like denominators and like numerators today. So let's get started. What do these fractions have in common? You're right, they all have the same denominator. How do we compare fractions with common denominators? You know, that's one of the fractions that we're most familiar with comparing. Let's look at some models. All right, all of these rectangles have the same shape and size. So they've been all subdivided into 8 parts. We have the 8 parts here, and you have everything from 1/8 all the way down to 7/8. What do you notice that's different as the numerator increases? That's correct. As the numerator increases, the top number gets bigger. The portion of the fraction increases. So when the denominators are the same, which all of these have 8 as their denominator, when the numerator gets bigger, the portion of the fraction becomes more, its value becomes increased. All right, so let's look at this. So when comparing fractions with common denominators, as the numerator increases, the value of the fraction increases. Now you really understand this because if we had 2 exact pizzas sitting in front of us and they were both cut into 8 equal parts, and this first pizza only has 6 of the 8 parts, and the second pizza only has 2 of the 8 parts. Which pizza would have more? That's correct. The 6/8 would have more. So this is the one that's very familiar with to us when the denominators are the same. All right. So let's apply the knowledge to ordering fractions with like denominators on a number line. How many equal parts has this line been divided into? Let's count them. 8 parts. So each section represents what fraction? 1/8. That's correct. Now, let's order these fractions that we see at the bottom. We see 4/8, 6/8, and 1/8. We already know something about 4/8. We learned that before. What is the thing that you're familiar with 4/8? That's correct. 4 is half of 8. So that means that the 4/8 is equal to 1/2. So this fraction should be somewhere in the middle. Let's see where it lands. It's right in the middle of this number line. And we counted each section: 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. All right. Now 6/8. If we apply the knowledge we have the same denominator. So the numerator 6 is going to be more than the numerator 4 in this case. And that means that it's going to be a bigger value. It's going to be more because that's what we concluded. So let's see. 6/8 is greater than 4/8. So it goes 2 more eighths down from the 4/8. So it increases by 2/8 more. All right, so let's look at where 1/8 would be. Now, if you only had one slice of your pizza left, you know that's very little. So this one should be further down the number line, and it's less than half. So let's see where it lands. 1/8 is right there, just what we expected it to be. Right. How do we compare fractions with common numerators? Look at these models. Now this one is the one that's a little tricky for us because we have to think a little differently. All right, so let's imagine that these rectangles represent a sub. It's the same sub all the way down, and we slice the sub based on the denominator. Now, this first one, this square is broken up into how many parts? 3 parts. And we have 3 of the 3 parts. So we have a whole sub there. All right. The next one is broken up into 4 parts. So we take the sub and we subdivide it into 4 parts. The pieces are getting smaller, but we're only looking at 3 of those 4 parts. Now, again, as we subdivide it even more, we go down to 6 pieces or parts. It becomes even smaller. So, and we know that 3 of 6 parts is half. And that's what this is representing, half of that section. All right. Now, 8 parts is even smaller pieces. So if you have 3 of 8 parts, you're talking about it being even smaller. Now, 12ths are going to be very tiny in comparison to the other ones. And so it's getting even smaller. So 3 parts is less when you're looking at 12ths. So what do we have in common here? We know that all of the numerators are the same, but the denominators, as they increase, the pieces get smaller, and so the value of that fraction becomes smaller. Let's formalize this. When comparing fractions with common numerators, as the denominator increases, the value of the fraction decreases. Therefore, if we're talking about 3 out of 12 pieces of the same portion as 3 out of 4 pieces of the same area, we're talking about 3/12 being smaller than 3/4. 3/4 is almost a whole. It's but 3/12 is a little bit of small portion. So let's put this on the number line and see what it looks like. So let's apply your knowledge. All right, so here we go again. We have our fractions that we're going to be moving on the number line. This time we don't have it proportionally spaced out because we have different denominators. So we don't have a common denominator here. So we didn't partition it, but we know some things about this. What do we know about 3/6? We already know that 3/6, 3 is half of 6. So 3/6 is equal to a half. So let's see where that goes. That's what we expected, correct? Yes. All right, so now let's look at the next fraction, 3/4. If you had 3 of 4 parts, that means you almost have a whole, and that's going to be more than half because half of 4 is 2, and 3/4 is greater than 2/4. So that's going to be greater than half. Let's see where it goes. Exactly. Now we're going, we have 3/12. 3/12. And remember, that's very tiny. That's a smaller portion of it, okay? So that's going to be smaller. All right, let's review real quickly. You've done great. When comparing fractions with common denominators, as the numerator increases, the value of the fraction increases. When comparing fractions with common numerators, as the denominator increases, the value of the fraction decreases. Now it's time for you to practice this more. I hope you've had fun. I have. Have a great one. Take care. Okay, that's it. Oh, I didn't tell you this.